Today we are privileged to have Ariel. So she is in fourth year, and I think
Not only fourth year, but
this is her last semester. I was going to say, I think I'm going to be really sad when she's, but we won't talk about that. So instead, we'll just let Ariel share a little bit about her life, and I'm just really looking forward to it. And I think there could be time for like Q&A after or whatever, so you'll just take it from there.
Mrs. Higgins.
hope you know.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Hi. So it's fourth year, which is really weird for me. I don't think that's completely settled yet. And I always think back to like first year coming here and being afraid of everyone in orange shirts running around. That's still a little bit of a fear that that's gonna happen again. I'm glad it hasn't. But I got to SSU, started out of high school, so I was just turned 18 when I showed up. And I think today I'm just going to talk about kind of some of the things I've been working through my 4 years here. It seems when I look back, it kind of all weaves together into a common theme. And I don't think I saw that at all while it was happening. But now I do a bit. So, yeah. And when I was thinking about what to say today, I was like, I could have a ton of notes and I could write things down, and yeah, that didn't really happen. So I'm kind of just going. I have a few things and a few pieces of poetry I'm going to share at some point. They're not actually written by me, but they've really been anchors for me the last few months or so. My life's not perfect right now, and nothing's resolved, and I think that's okay. And I thought that in my fourth year of university, things might all be put together. But they're not. And I have to be okay with that. And I think that's something I've really learned at SSU. It's just being okay with where I am. And I already feel like I'm gonna cry, and it's like been 2 minutes. So, don't say what I don't. Kendall's not even here. Yeah, so I think something that I've been working through my whole time here is kind of this cycle that I get into when it comes to guilt and shame for myself. And just things that don't always matter feel like really big deals. And then it just like goes in a cycle over and over again. And that's not good to do that to yourself. And being here, I've really been able to look at the things that cause me to go into that cycle, and find people who support me through that, and that's huge. So it's a little weird thinking about leaving that behind and not having that, but at the same time, I'm really excited for where my life will leave past SSU. And recently my life has gone through some big changes. So I'm at a different place than I expected to be. And I'm happier about that than I thought I would be, so that's good. I feel like I'm just rambling, but I'm trying to make sense, so hopefully it does. Every time, like throughout that cycle of guilt and shame, it went on for so long where like I would make a mistake, I would do something that felt like the end of the world, and then I wouldn't be able to let go of it. And it would just like cycle and cycle, and that would make it even worse. But I feel like I'm finally at a point where, yes, I still make mistakes, but I can forgive myself. And that's, I think, the best thing SSU has taught me, is being able to be okay with who I am and to not make myself feel worse for things that are mistakes but don't really matter in the huge scheme of things. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. There's lots of pieces of my life that feel like they're floating around, but I think they're gonna add up to something. But I'm gonna share one of the poems right now because it just fits with. I think it's so easy to want to be perfect and to want to have everything tied together, and then you forget that those imperfections, those things that you struggle with, still make you who you are, and that's really important. Like if I wouldn't have gone through the things I have, I don't think I'd be who I am now, and I like that person. So this kind of reminds me to let that be okay. It's by Tyler Knott Gregson, who is a modern day poet. He writes stuff all the time, and a lot of his stuff is pretty simple, but it's just really meant a lot to me. So, I have no use for a life lived for tomorrow. I would so much rather be lost and walking today than found and chained tight to the walls of a future I cannot believe in. And that just means so much to me to think of it like that, instead of being like, oh, I'm so lost, what am I doing? Why isn't life all fit together? Like, this is where I am now, and I'd rather be here than have things be perfect, but have them actually not be the life I'm supposed to live. So I'm feeling that now.
Can you read it again?
Sure. I have no use for a life lived for tomorrow. I would so much rather be lost and walking today than found and chained tight to the walls of a future I cannot believe in. So, yeah. And then I have one more that it embodies what SSU has become to me. A home in a lot of ways, and a community that I've never experienced outside of SSU, so I don't like crying in front of this many people. There will be times when we feel like we are meant to be alone, like this love we seek is not real, and we created it to make sense of an emptiness. And because of that, sometimes some of us, I can't read my own writing. I'm gonna start over. Okay. There will be times when we feel like we are meant to be alone, like this love we seek is not real, and we created it to make sense of our emptiness. And because of that, sometimes some of us become bitter with the idea that love is only the anticipation of finding someone we will never live to meet. So we live our lives looking for something to fill us and give us meaning, only to discover that in the end, love was never meant to be received by one person, but rather all the people who made us feel at home. That's by Ariel and Drake. But I think finding people, like it is about the people. Like this place is amazing. And I love SSU and the building and the fuzzy red wallpaper and all of those things. But it's people that make you feel like home, and it's nice to know when I leave this place, I'll still have those people as part of my life, and that's what I feel about SSU. So, and I don't really know exactly what else to say because I feel like if I just keep talking, I'm gonna ramble and cry more. But if people want to ask more direct questions, that can happen.
And I was gonna say also, not just questions, but also encouragements too. I think that would be really great. So you have a question or an encouraging word that you'd like to speak to Ariel, that'd be great.
What was like a really formative relationship for you here?
There's been a few. Well, even though Ryan and I aren't together anymore, that was definitely formative. That's good that it's not what it was, but that was definitely part of my SSU time. Rachel has been a huge mentor and yeah, and of course Alyssa too, my best friend, you know.
Yeah.
So.
How have they helped you grow or like see you for yourself?
I think that is a big part of it, being able to be completely vulnerable, even when vulnerability is really scary sometimes, and still be like, you're okay, you're loved. None of your mistakes make you any less of a person.
some time to recover. I was just thinking back on your first year and you arriving and being totally freaked out, and it wasn't just the orange shirts.
It wasn't just the orange shirts.
But here you are. You stayed right until the 4th year, and we're very glad you did. So I was just wondering if you could tell us a bit about that, like what it was that freaked you out and what changed that made you actually stay. Because you almost didn't, right?
Yeah, I almost didn't. Well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to come to a Christian university at all. That was definitely part of my fear coming to SSU. Getting here and wondering if it was going to be super religious. But it wasn't, it's SSU. So you're able to be what you are, where you are. Peter Fitch classes where I questioned everything he said and told him that people thought a bum was the Antichrist back home. But also just people here wanted to know my struggles. They wanted to know why I didn't sleep at night or just all the different things that were going on in my life. And I was like, no, I want to hide. Like, isn't my room supposed to be a safe place? Like, oh wait, you're dragging me out of it? Oh no, what's happening? And you can't hide at SSU. You just can't. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's not that many of us here. And realizing that people actually did care. It wasn't just like, I want to know things about you so I can tell other people about them. It was like, I actually care about who you are and where you're at. And it took me a while to trust people enough to do that. But once I did, that was a big part of why I stayed at SSU. And the travel, I mean. Yeah, I kept saying, I'm gonna make it to a travel term. I'm gonna make it to Asia, I'm gonna go to Asia, and then I'm gonna be done. Like, I had filled out a transfer school application. Like, I was gonna leave. Every other day I was gonna leave my first year. But then I got to Asia, and it was a hard trip, but I was like, no, this is right. And I came back and I'm like, well, I might as well stay till Europe, because that's not too far. And then, yeah, here I am.
One more semester.
Exactly.
Ariel, question for you. From what you've told me, you're one of the people who was super involved in your pre-SSU life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you were just part of everything that was going on. And then here, you know, pull back from that, focus on yourself and healing yourself. Is it the kind of thing where you feel like your time here prepares you to go back out and re-engage in the world in a healthier way again? Because maybe like some of that before was running away from some things to stay busy, stay involved. Is that how you're feeling, or do you have a sense of that?
Yeah, I think that's very true. In high school, like, I was in everything. Cheerleading, golf, leadership, pep club, like debate, well, not debate team, but like Future Business Leaders of America, like you name it, I was in everything. And I was never home, and I was always doing something. And a lot of that was, if I have time alone, by myself, not doing things, I will be thinking of a lot of things I don't want to think about. And coming here, I had to do that. And that's so good, because I've now worked through things I didn't even know were problems. So, yeah. So I do think I'm definitely ready to go out and do more. I feel that more even at SSU. I felt way more able to be involved and be in events this year than I have in past years. So.
Ariel, how have the last 4 years, do you think, shaped what you would like to do next after you're finished at SSU? Do you think are you feeling like that you're going to go in a certain direction, and has that been influenced by being at SSU?
I haven't completely decided the next step. I'm thinking probably going abroad and teaching English for a year or two. But then I want to work nonprofit charity. And when I came to SSU, I wanted to work for the government in diplomacy. So that's a little bit of a difference. And I think taking courses that make you really break down what is happening, like IS, right? You're actually looking at these issues and what is the way that you can make the most difference. Is it through working through the government and trying to work within their guidelines and their strict rules, or is it finding an organization that you can pour your passion into that is actually affecting the things you care about? And I think that's definitely been big on like career decision.
Hey, two memories came to mind for me. One was, was it a year ago or even 2 years ago now, but you helped facilitate an evening for newcomers. And I just thought what a great face of the school you were that night. That was really great. But the other thing more personally was when we were leaving the Asia trip, or Europe trip, and you were just really vocal about how much you'd miss us being on the trip and everything. That meant a lot to Carol.
You guys were the parents of the trip.
I remember, can I share a Europe memory? I think I shared this during thank yous and compliments in Europe, but when I was feeling like in Munich one night, you like asked me how I was doing, and I was like, no one asked me how I was doing. That took me so like, I was so shocked. I was like, had to think about how I was doing to answer you, and I'm like, wow, you really care. No, you didn't, ma'am. Nobody's asked me that in 2 months. Thanks.
Ariel, just something as an observation that happens with lots of people, but I've really noticed it happens specifically with you. But the more and more that you become comfortable with yourself, honest with yourself, you really have become a more and more beautiful person. Like it's so cool to see with you and with other people that as you get more comfortable with yourself, like you're just more beautiful, you're more peaceful, you're more, happy, things like that. And it's been really cool to see.
Ariel, I think one of the things that I appreciate most about you is having seen your courage, because I know you have faced up to some really hard things and you haven't backed down from it. You really hung in there and sought help and done the work, and I just think you have a lot of courage.
I just pictured you on that runaway horse when you forgot.
You should tell that story.
It's not a very long story. Ariel moved to North Dakota and worked for a couple months with me a couple years ago. And there was one time we went out horseback riding with Holly.
Because Holly was visiting.
We were just walking, and then Ariel just took off.
My horse
Just like flew off the trail on a horse. I think it got scared or something, but it's a really funny mental image still. She wasn't scared at all. She was just holding up, and she was like flying all over.
That was way more fun than a trail walk.
I was thinking too that I think something that I've heard here today makes a little bit of sense to me, because my impression is that there are very few people here who really are as proactive about facing the stuff you need to heal as you have been. Like I've been amazed by you, and I think when you describe your early life as being very proactive at school and all these activities, I think that same kind of energy and drive you've used here, not only in your studies and being a part of everything, but being a really lively and wonderful part of everything, but you've also used that same drive to go inside and to face and to be honest. And I honestly, I don't see that many people with that much drive to try to get better personally, and I think we're just so proud of you.
Good things aren't supposed to make me cry.
Have you read that poem by M. Drake? What's his name? The second poem you read?
Yeah.
Have you read that before?
Have I read it before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as
I don't think I've read it Out loud before now.
I was a little confused by that too.
Sorry, I read.
She has to do it.
Have you ever read it before?
I meant like to a group of people.
No, I've never read it.
Where I would be.
I've only ever read my own poetry at SSU. I think I've never read someone else's before.
Do you have a piece of your own in that journal?
I have my own poetry, yeah. There's one that's like really intense about choices and growth, but I feel like it's really intense.
Any other ones that you want?
I have more on my phone than the journal. This is a new journal. This is actually a brand new journal. For change and growth. But really though, I bought that in St. Andrews like a week ago, being like, I need a new journal. It's a new chapter, which is super cliche, but give me one
Well,
second.
things are cliche for a reason.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Here's a bunch of them. Okay, this is nice and pretty. And it also references the fire pit outside, which everyone at SSU needs to love a little bit. So, stargaze pondering. The dark shimmering sky smiles down on the moonlit silhouette of oak. Cliche questions of the universe shuffle through my mind. An expansive stardust sky is fuel for wine-laden stargazing. I lay beneath the shelter of your branches. Slight tipsiness takes control as the stars and moon twirl on glimmering ice. At times you must be the shelter of secrets, of knowledge. Tonight you are my companion in silence. Roots that stretch underneath the earth twist into labyrinths. Your tree trunk stands strong and tall. I wonder what it feels like as your branches caress the tip of heaven. Tonight your leaves have shed with the first snowfall, I think, because there's not a word there. You are free to sway in a waltz with the wind. To the left is a fire pit, but tonight it is you that has a luminescent glow.
I just keep seeing that.
It's the musical soul in you. Perfect.
Yeah. We never talked about this, but
Yes, prayer is good. I say yes to that.
cool. Well, what we'll do is just close in praying for Ariel, for her and the rest of the semester, and then through what she's shared and the beyond. And I'm not sure how we could do this. We could all gather around her, or whoever is comfortable, come gather around her and just hopefully bless you that way. Yeah?